This Casual Friday is brought to you by lynda.com. The amount of whimsy in that name is like above the legal limit.
I can't handle it.
Scooter Wink. So later this month, the Last of Us HD collection is coming out.
I'm so excited.
Just about the only thing that's coming out this month. But you pumped?
I'm actually really excited. So I actually never played it on PS3. And it was a game that I was like, when it came out, I was so busy with like...
It was E3.
It was right, it was E3, I was so busy. I wasn't even playing games. And I was always meaning to get around to it, but then more games were coming out and I kept being like, oh, that's the game I'm gonna play, you know, soon, and I can't wait. And I was okay with waiting because I knew it was gonna be so good. I knew it would hold up because of what everyone was telling me.
Sure.
So I knew I could wait. I knew I could like buy the time and then it just never played it. And now I'm like really excited to finally play it, remastered, looking even better. At least hopefully it looks a lot better.
Did you play much of The Last of Us?
Not much of it. I played enough to realize that it wasn't like my favorite game. I liked it.
Yeah.
But it was also a very busy time for me when it came out, so I didn't get around to playing it until several months later. And by then, like, you know, hype surrounding games makes you more excited for them. By then I was just like, man, everybody's already played this. I'm so out of the loop. Blah.
Sure. You know what's funny is, so I played The Last of Us up until, because we got it like 4 days before E3. I got it up until that point, went to E3, came back and couldn't bring myself to finish it. Just in part because it was so grim and so, I think like, and we're not the only people. I know a lot of people in the games press who played halfway through The Last of Us and were like, I better beat that. But this HD remaster is a great opportunity, I think. A, because it's going to look phenomenal. Naughty Dog is developing it internally, so it's not just like a port thrown to some random studio. But it kind of has me thinking about other HD remakes that are coming out.
So what do we want in remaster? Do we want it to look better, or do we want them to actually fix problems with the game?
That's a good question.
So I think it really depends on like the game, because for example, like there's so many great Nintendo games that are in standard definition that I want to be remade. And so like, obviously Wind Waker is a great example of something that looks so incredibly gorgeous when they remastered it to like be 16:9 in HD. And I just want a lot more of like stuff like that. If it's a great game and it didn't look that great,
I don't know why Nintendo doesn't do more of that. I mean, they have the Wii U now, and it's like, what are they doing?
Well, I think the reason is that there's only a specific window of Nintendo games that need to be remade. Like Super Nintendo games all hold up phenomenally. NES games wouldn't benefit from a graphical boost. But when we switch to polygonal graphics like the N64 and GameCube, those games are trapped in like a window of technical limitation that no longer exists, and they're catching up with today. And what's cool about those Nintendo games is that A, they're not making them look radically different. They're just, we were talking about this weirdly on Behind Anime Lines. We were talking about the Sailor Moon remake and how it's important to not just make the thing look better, but to make it look the way you remember it looking. Like that Ocarina of Time 3DS game is amazing because it actually, if you look at the models side by side, they look way, way better. But you don't realize that when you're playing it. When you're playing it, you're like, this is how I always remembered it. It's like built-in rose-tinted glasses. And then they do stuff where like Ocarina of Time's 3DS version, they fixed the water temple, or the Wind Waker HD thing they added with the camera mode. You can flip the camera around and take Link selfies. Just like these weird little things that bring them into the modern era. That's the stuff that I really love.
And that's a good point, because it is how you remember it. You remember it being that good. Because you didn't know better graphics existed. And that's why it's like games that like, you know, don't hold up. You go to play them, you're so excited, and then you're like, oh, this is like really hard. This is like really painful to even to go near because it doesn't look that good.
I imagine it's really challenging to take games that are that old and give them like HD upgrades. Because you're right, you don't want them to look vastly different than the original version. But like, how do you strike that balance between like being HD and having really crisp graphics and also looking too like weird, you know, and not in the vein of Nintendo?
I mean, I remember there was backlash when they first showed Wind Waker HD because it wasn't the exact
so cartoony.
Yeah, like it wasn't the flat cel-shaded look from Wind Waker that you remember. They actually had soft lighting and different shadows, and it just like
they kept the spirit of the game, I feel.
And I think when it came out and we all played it, ultimately we realized that this is Wind Waker as we remember it. But when they first showed it off, like 2 E3s ago, we were like, or at least some people, myself included, were like, that's not Wind Waker to me. I don't know.
I think they did a good job with Wind Waker HD. And they made the right gameplay tweaks to it, I think, that matter. And
you know what I really like in a HD remake or an HD re-release is when they add peripheral stuff outside the game itself that makes the experience better. That MGS HD collection that came out on the 360 and the PS3. The thing that I remember most about the MGS HD collection is that the achievements were great. So for example, like there's every weird thing you can do in MGS2, there's an achievement for. There's an achievement for going into the poster and smooching, like going into a locker and kissing the poster so many times that Otacon calls you. There's an achievement for, in the prequel, MGS3, you can like shoot Revolver Ocelot, and the achievement is called like, series over, like everything's fixed. Like they just have all these cute little achievements that reward you for doing things that are not in the normal linear progression of the game. And that is dope. Like,
I love the idea of like taking inside jokes that existed in the first iteration of a game and then including them, because it's such fan service, but people love that kind of stuff.
Really good stuff.
For sure. What games do you think are still lacking in HD remake then? I guess is the big question.
That's hard.
I mean, obviously Nintendo has a huge library of stuff that they could be doing, but outside of that, I mean, I personally have a few games that are on the original Xbox that I'd really like to see again.
Xbox original games look so bad now.
They do. I don't know.
So bad.
At the time, it looked great.
Phantom Dust still looks pretty good.
That actually, you're right. That does look really good.
But everything else looks pretty bad.
Yeah, I would like to see a remastered version of the first two Max Payne games.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Problem with that is that Rockstar did such a good job with the third one that they'd have to bring it up to that quality in order for it to be worth a damn, and that's just never going to happen.
Well, I mean, my memory of Max Payne 2 on the PC was I devoured that game in a way that no other game had me do. And one thing about Max Payne 2 is that it was already extremely detailed. You could control, there was like a hack where you could control time with the page up and page down buttons. And if you fired a bullet and then stopped time and unlocked the camera and looked at the bullet, you could see on the side of the bullet, like bullet casing numbers and like the guns were super detailed. It was just, that game was already so detailed that it wouldn't, I don't think they would need to do much to it to bring it in the modern era.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the Master Chief
The Halo one? I am too.
Yeah, I am too actually.
Halo
I've
1.
resisted playing the earlier Halo games just because I've seen them. The really early ones.
I just can't wait to play Halo 1 with that ridiculous pistol, 3-shot headshot.
Broken on Blood Gulch. That's the thing. I think we're in the same position, because honestly, I don't give a shit about replaying the single-player campaigns at any of those Halos. I just want to play Halo 2 online like I did when I was 13 and just relive
pistols,
all that stuff.
That game, I mean, that game isn't out yet, but I feel like, based on what I've seen of it, they have the perfect vision for what an HD remastered
It's like fan
should
service
be.
porn. It's
It
like,
really
if you have ever cared about a single Halo game except for Reach or ODST, this is the package that is like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
like
it's
all the original servers and everything, like, they're doing a really good job with that.
And I think it's interesting because it feels like they learned lessons from when they did that Halo 1 remake on the 360 and the multiplayer was just the Reach multiplayer but reskinned. That shit was so whack. It was like not good.
That pissed me off because I should have done more research. I actually thought it was like
I think
just
a lot of people
reskinned like Halo 1, but instead it was just the maps. Oh, that made me so angry.
Yeah.
So I think my pick then, if I could pick one thing to be remade, is Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2.
Okay.
Just because every Monkey Ball game after Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Deluxe, they lost what made that series great. This later Super Monkey Ball games, they literally have guardrails on the side of the level so you can't fall off. They became these wee mini-game collections that were just trash. But the original two were fantastic arcade games that were incredibly hard and really pure. You always see them during like the speedrun challenges. Those games in HD, downloadable for $15 with online leaderboards, like it'd be done. I would never need another video game again.
Yeah.
So that's me. That's what I'd like.
You're a filthy casual, Nick.
I'm the opposite of a casual. I'm a, how do you say that backwards?
Hardcore. That's it.
If you play that backwards, it's casual.
Yeah.
If you care about games and want to take your first steps towards making one, you should check out lynda.com. Lynda offers tutorials in programming, design, 3D animation, and more. New courses are added each week, and the course library keeps pace with today's fast-changing technical and software skills. You can watch lynda.com on the go from your computer, tablet, or mobile device. Try lynda.com for free for 7 days by visiting lynda.com/casual. Now, notably, Nintendo revealed that you'll be able to play as both of Robin's selectable genders, which leads to the question, will you be able to customize anything else about Robin? My guess, no. Not only did they stick with Robin's default name and class in the reveal trailer, but I went and checked and the Robin we saw in the trailer matches up perfectly with the 2 default options you see when you first load up the character customizer in Fire Emblem Awakening.